Alright, bros, go find a seat. It's time to watch a video about a snake prank.
Sorry, you didn't get that on the camera, did you? Oh my God!
What are you guys doing?
Doing all right? For those of you who didn't catch it, they had a fake snake on a string and they pulled it in front of it. That just doesn't get old ever doing pranks like that. So what I think you guys should do when it warms up is you should do that prank and get somebody hiding in the bushes with a camera. And if you do that successfully, and I think it's awesome enough, we will play it here at Encounter. Cool? Or any kind of cool prank for that matter. Do a cool prank. Well, let's call the month of February Prank Month, okay? So February is Prank Month. My challenge to you guys, this is just off the top of my head right now. I was not planning on saying this, but that video inspired me, okay? So, Prank Month, the month of February. Prank people. Find someone with a really nice, clear cell phone camera and somebody like Ian Score who's got video editing skills and put together a sick video of some really good pranks. We will show the best ones that we find here. Is that cool? I think that's cool. So really the only announcement I have is there is a winter retreat coming up. And it is not ours. It's not the same one that we've been doing that we did a few years ago. But this is a winter retreat at the same camp that we do our summer camps at. And if we do have enough people who are interested in going, it's going to be students from all over our district that are going to be there. If we have enough interest from people in going, we will make this trip available. So if you want to go on this trip, come and find me later on tonight and grab one of these from me, bring it home, go over it with your parents, and we will talk. Okay? Cool? By the way, my name is Sean. If any of you are new here, just want to say welcome. And I think you're in for a really cool night tonight at Encounter. Everybody get signed in when you came in? Cool. Remember to hang on to those coupons. We'll take a drawing at the end of the night. Let's bring up the lights. What I need right now is I need to get 2 teams of 4 people per team. Okay? 2 teams of 4 people. All right? You guys got it? All right, come on up. One more team of 4. One more team of 4. One more team of 4. 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 All 4 need to have your hands up. All 4 need to have your hands up. Unless, if you want a couple of you and a couple of you, that'd be cool too. But we need 4 people. So, 4 people come on up here. All right? Okay, so that's 3, 4. All right, there we go. Okay, I need you all to join me up here on the stage, okay? You 4 on this side of this little box here. You 4 on this side of the little box. All right? Now, what you guys are going to be doing is playing a game. Get over there, Christian. You're back here.
Me too.
You guys are going to be playing a game that I like to call Rescue Mission. Okay? There's going to be some soldiers that are trapped inside of this box. Okay? And some little planes and helicopters. All right? Your job is going to be to get as many of them into your team's bucket as you possibly can. The question that you're probably asking is, Pastor Sean, how do you want us to get them there? I'm glad you asked. What I want you all to do is remove one shoe and one sock. Well, then you already got half of it done. All right? Shoe and sock off. Wow. Whew. I'm just kidding, man. I don't smell anything. All right. You need to be in a line, okay? Yep, in one line, preferably equally spaced from there to the buckets, okay? So, because what you're going to be doing is the person in the front of the line is going to be grabbing one of these little green army men, passing it to the person behind you, all right? You cannot just kick it. You have to grab it with your toes, pass it to the next person who will then grab it with their toes and pass it back to the next person who will grab it with their toes, pass it to the next person who will grab it with their toes and place it in the bucket, all right? The team that has the most in their bucket at the end of the time that I give wins, okay? The little airplanes and helicopters will be worth a couple extra points. Okay? Any questions? Once you're in your spot and the game has started, you cannot move either. Okay? You can't just kick them and slide them. You have to literally grip them with your toes. So if I see anybody cheating, I'm going to shove you off the stage. Okay? No, like for real, you'll be off the stage, and then your team will be down to like 3 people, and you have to do the splits awkwardly to pass the guy. So, all right, any questions? Ready, set, go. All right. All right, so it's working. All right, so we got like one in there. All right, wow. You gotta grip them. Wait, you guys, here, stop, okay? You can't have like a pile of them here like this. You gotta get one of them passed. They can't pile up, okay? Don't blame it on your teammate, okay? All right, go. So you can have more than one in gameplay at the same time, but you can't have, like right there, that one's gotta go back. You can't have them waiting like that. All right, here, I'll take it. All right. All right. Oh, there we go. Except, nope, that one not gonna count. Okay. This is a really, really nasty game. And I gotta touch these things after this game is done to get them ready for the high school. I didn't think that part through. Maybe I'll just dump them from the bucket. I don't know. All right. 20 seconds. Oh, that don't count then. Only one at a time. One at a time. All right. One at a time. You can't stack them up. Otherwise, I will grab them from you and move them. All right, there you go. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and done. Feet down. All right. I'm going to count these up, -1 that Malachi threw in there. All right.
Yeah, that was not a plane.
So,
that was a person.
You guys got all the planes and whatnot.
Booyah.
All right.
I said we might already.
Yep, you definitely did. All right. The team of only guys definitely won that. Thank you guys for being willing participants and stinking up my stage. That's awesome. Give it up for our participants. A different kind of gross game. Band, you guys can come on up, by the way. And where'd Noah go? Is he here still? Yeah.
This is living now. This is living now. Lead the way, God, you're right beside me. In your love I'm complete. There's nothing like living with you. This life you created, I'm true. See the sun now bursting through the clouds, black and white, kingdom color all around. All is new in the Savior I am found. This is living now. This is living now. Take me higher than before. Your word on the seas we soar. That your freedom is an open door. You are everything I want and more. You're the light that guides me through. Our eyes are open. You are near to the broken, knowing find a strength in you. Our eyes are open. When I'm lost in madness, Jesus, Lord of all, we lift our eyes to you, exalted one, exalted one. We lift our eyes to you, where our help comes from, our help is from you. Jesus, Lord of all, we lift our eyes to you, exalted one, exalted one. You guys can have a seat.
Guys still doing all right? Couple of you? Couple of you are, yes, okay. All right, cool. All right, so last week we sort of transitioned out of our Hooked series and into this series that we are beginning. We sort of began it last week. We're sort of, I don't know, it's like a hybrid. We kind of transition from one series into the next with a week in between them. And so it's like week 1.5 of this series, but just I just want to be real for a minute. Everybody in life, we want to step up, right? Like when you look at like challenges, when you hear about like cool things people are doing, like you see those things that people are doing, those cool things, and like it inspires you to a degree, right? Like maybe you don't know exactly what I'm talking about, but you can think of like any movie where somebody has the odds stacked against them, right? And they either have to step up and like make something happen where it's like do or die. You make it happen, even if you don't, at least you tried, right? And so you got that, or you can step back. I gotta avoid all these little army guys on the floor that smell like feet. But you get the point, right? You either step up or you step back, or you step up or you step down. And so like those things, like when we step up, when we rise to the occasion, we get this sense of accomplishment, right? And so my question though is, does anybody ever, like, do you ever find yourself thinking instead, you know, average sounds pretty legit right now? You know, like, I could step up, but, you know, like, just kind of chilling. It sounds pretty good. Like, I'll let other people have their glory. They can step up. They can rise to the occasion. But I'd rather just kind of, I don't know, take the weenie approach, really. Anybody ever say that? Ever find yourself saying, I mean, sometimes we're like legitimately tired. We don't want to step up because the couch sounds a little nicer. I get that from time to time. But overall in life, we never hear people say, you know what, I'd prefer to run from challenges instead of face them. You just don't hear people say, that's my goal in life. No, we want to be people who step up, that when opportunity knocks and we realize this is our chance to make something awesome happen, like obstacles that challenge us, and even sacrifices are necessary to some degree. Like, that's what we want to generally accomplish in life. I think this is a little bit loud. We can probably turn it down a little bit because like people are kind of cringing up here in the front. Like I talk loud and they're like, ah! And so we can turn it down just a little bit. That's cool. And while that's true for everyone, all of us wants to step up to a degree. For those who follow Jesus, for those of you in the room who would call yourselves a Christian, a follower of Christ, for those of us who follow Jesus, there's another layer to it. Okay? We want to step up. We want to join in with what God has planned for us and for our lives. And we hear different people, different voices speaking to us about that, and they inspire us to step up to seek out what it is that God has in store for us and in plan for our lives. And we get inspired, we get motivated to make something awesome happen for the kingdom of Christ and to join in with God's plan for our lives and for the world. The problem is, there are some things that you're going to face in middle school, even at the very end of elementary school in 6th grade. There are going to be some things that we'll face in those grades that will make us want to do the opposite of step up. There's going to be some things that make us want to step back from time to time. And lots of people do just that in middle school. And it sets them up to have a high school career and the rest of their life that really just, they find themselves time and time again just saying, what if I would have done that differently? What if I would have stepped up instead of doing what I ended up doing? Lots of people do just that. They step back from opportunities. They move away from things that God wants for them and that they ultimately want for themselves. And that's what this whole series is about, is how we can be people who beat that, how we can be people who step up, who rise to those occasions. Last week, we began following this story of Joshua, right, in the Bible. And we saw how Joshua learned to factor God in to his report when they went and scouted out the promised land, this perfect land that God was giving them. Think about this. God himself was giving them this land. He said, go and check it out and bring back a report. Either way, God is giving them this land. He's calling them to trust him. And so Joshua came back. The rest of the spies came back. The other 10 of those spies, what did they give? What kind of report did they give? A negative one, right? Thumbs down. They're like, this land is not right. You got to be crazy to try and take this land. Those people, they're like this big, and they drop their microphone out of their pocket, and it's just crazy. And the walls around the city are huge. There's no way we're getting in. The cities are well fortified. They're well established. Ain't no one getting in there. All right? But what kind of report do Joshua and Caleb give? Positive, right? If 10 of them come back saying, the other 2 come back, they're like, nah, man, we can do this. God is on our side. God is called. They factored God into the report. And so we challenged you then last week to take that approach to life. That when other people around you are saying, nah, man, I'm out. We can't do this. It's too tough. Whether it's your sports team, and you're going against some team that's way bigger than you, and they're like, you know what, there's no way we can win this. There's no way we can win this. There's no way we can even keep up with them. And you're like, nah, man, let's just do it. Like, factor God in. Yeah, the Christian life is a lot bigger than sports. I get that. And I'm not saying, ask Jesus to help you win your hockey game and you'll win. That's not how it is. But when we factor God in, we start to live a little bit different than before. Guys, I need you to shut down these conversations over here, okay? I'm hearing a lot of little, let's stop it, okay? Cool. So we saw how Joshua learned to factor in God into his report. We learned how to do that as well. Tonight, we're going to fast forward in Joshua's life into a sort of a pivotal moment. You guys know what a pivotal moment is, right? It's when you're at like a crossroads, like you have to make a decision. It's decision time. It's time to step up. And Joshua faced just that in a way bigger way than just scoping out the land and giving a report to the people and saying what it's like. At first glance, this won't seem like a huge deal, but for Joshua, this was mega huge, and I'll explain why that is. In the Bible, in Deuteronomy, verses, first of all, who brought their Bibles today? All right, a couple of you, cool. You can turn to Deuteronomy, and then also you can open up right after that to Joshua, and we are going to kind of camp out there. Okay. So Deuteronomy chapter 34, the first part of verse 5. You don't even need to get it. I'm just going to say like one little line from it. It says, "So Moses, the servant of the Lord, died." So who was the person who took the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt and led them through the wilderness into the promised land? Who was that guy? Moses, right? So now Moses, old man Moses, has died. This guy, Moses, was a big deal. And so he faced off with Pharaoh. He led God's people out of slavery in Egypt into the desert. He's the guy who physically brought them the 10 Commandments. So he brought them, like before Moses, there was really no law. There was just sort of general concepts that they would follow and sacrifices that they would do and hope that they were good with God. Moses brought them structure, because God and Moses would meet at the top of this mountain and they would talk just like you and I, face to face. Imagine being face to face with God. That's how Moses would talk. He'd come down, he'd tell the people what him and God had just talked about. And so Moses was this hero for the people of Israel, okay? Including Joshua. So Joshua really looked up to Moses. If Moses said something to Joshua, Joshua was all ears listening to him. And so they had spent their lives following him towards this promised land. And now within sight of the promised land, they hadn't even got there yet. Moses keels over. He's dead. Done for. So guess who's in line for taking his place as the leader? Joshua, right? And so he had been Moses' assistant, and now he is the guy who is going to fill Moses' shoes. And I guarantee you there is one simple question that was just rattling around in his brain when he was appointed to be the next leader of the people. And that question is, who, me? Like, are you kidding me? Like, me? Like Moses parted the Red Sea. I can barely part my hair. And so, I can't fill this guy's shoes. I'm just a regular bro. I cannot do this. Have you ever had one of those moments where you're just like, who, me? In life. Whether you won something, some contest that was just random, you're just like, who, me? Or you were asked to take part in something big at your school, and you're just like, me? Like, who? Like, really? Why would you want me to do that? I know I definitely have. Like, several years ago, I met a guy who's a professional action sports athlete, and one of the most talented people in the entire world is this guy. He has started action sports organizations. He's started competitions. He started entire tours, and he performs at the absolute highest levels. He motivates everyone around him to give it their absolute best, whether they're going to do better than him or not. And my wife and some friends of mine and I, we got a chance to hang out with this guy for a little while. And so I asked him his advice. I took advantage of this situation. I wasn't going to let it slide because I was never going to get an opportunity like this again. And I asked him a whole bunch of questions. And one of the questions I asked him was, hey man, like what would you tell a bunch of students about how they can be ready to step up and face challenges of life, like those big pivotal moments? What would you tell them in those situations? And here's what he said. I wrote it down. It was like 8 years ago that I talked to him. He said, the number one piece of advice I would give them is to answer the question, who am I? So that's what I'm going to say to you. What if you were to answer that question, who am I? And it wasn't just about giving your name, okay? So I'm going to say, answer the question, who am I? The answer is not Cole Haskins, okay? Especially, even if your name is actually Cole Haskins. So, but that's not, like, who am I? The answer is not Sean Braylon. It's who is Sean Braylon? Who is Cole Haskins? Who is Jordan Hexum? Who am I? I want you guys to ponder that for a moment, okay? He even, he explained it this way. Back in the day, some people they used to have like an adjective that went with their name. So like people like Alexander the Great, okay? So you know like that was a characteristic of Alexander, Richard the Lionheart, Winnie the Pooh, right? So Winnie is a poo. That's terrible. It's terrible, isn't it? Winnie's a poo. That's good stuff. So anywho, and he said that one of the most important questions someone can ask is, or answer is, what is it that goes in that blank? So it's Cole the blank. No, don't answer the question out loud, okay? Jordan the, Michaela the. So if you were to answer that question about yourself, you were to fill in that blank honestly, I want you to think about that. Have that in your mind right now. And this is a big deal, okay? Because the reality tonight is what I think should fill in that blank will determine whether or not I'm ready to step up in my life. Because there's a huge difference between Sean, the varsity football player, except I'm 32 years old, I'm a little too old to play varsity football, but you get the point, right? Sean, the varsity football player. There's a big difference between that and Sean, the guy who's not ready for that level. Right? That'd be a long thing to put in one blank, but you get the idea. There's a huge difference between Sean, the youth pastor, and Sean, the guy who doesn't know enough. Okay? So who you think you are impacts everything about your attitude and your performance. You can write that down if you got something to take notes with. Who you think you are impacts everything about your attitude and about your performance. Everything. Who you think you are impacts everything about your attitude and about your performance. And that's the position that Joshua finds himself in. He's saying, who am I? And here's how he answers it. It's going to determine whether or not he will step up. And it appears that Joshua starts to do what we all do when God comes at us with a plan. Or for those of us who aren't sure about God and his plan, Joshua starts to do what many of us come to do when it comes to opportunities that may have the potential to affect our life and our entire future and our family and all of that, okay? So if you're still with me, let's keep going. He begins to focus on who he's not, okay? He begins to focus, not on who he is, but who he's not. He starts arguing, like, I'm not Moses. People are like, yeah, it's clear, you're Joshua. You're not Moses. You're not supposed to be Moses. Moses is Moses, you're Joshua. He's like, I'm not a great leader. He's saying, I'm not a miracle worker. I'm not a military general. I'm not even that smart. I'm not even old enough to be in this position that I'm in. I'm not even that holy. And my question is, does that sound familiar? When opportunities are around us and around people around us, we hear that all the time. But I'm not. Fill in the blank. We do this all the time, especially in middle school. I know so many student athletes who tell themselves and they tell everybody else how they're not good enough. They're not fast enough. They're not big enough. They're not strong enough. They're not as big as that guy. They're not as strong as that guy. They're not as fast as that girl. They're not whatever it takes to be in that position. But it's not just in sports, okay? We do this with all of these other talents as well when it comes to your grades. We say, well, I'm not as smart as that kid in my class. I don't finish tests as quick and easily as that girl does. We say things like, my acting ability is not as good as those people over there. My musical abilities aren't as good as those people's over there. We say, whatever talent it is, we spend so much time thinking about who we're not and what we can't do and what we haven't accomplished, that a lot of times we rob ourselves of the opportunity to simply step up and try it. And the same is true in so many areas of our lives. But the truth is, I bet most of us aren't sure how we would answer the question, who we are. Because we've trained ourselves to only see, listen to me, this is good, okay? We've trained ourselves to only see that which we are not. And we've pounded ourselves into the ground with that. And as long as that's true, we are not ready to step up to be who we're hoping to be. In fact, we are in danger of missing the person that God created us to be. I expected there to be a little feeling of tension in here when I said that. You know why? Because when someone doesn't know how to fill in the blank, it always results in negative side effects. It results in a negative self-image. We look in the mirror, we begin to see someone who isn't as pretty as she is. Or we look in the mirror and we see, I'm just not as awesome as that person. And whatever, we start seeing the wrong thing. We compare ourselves. When you become aware of how you rank next to other people, eventually all you can see is how you don't measure up anymore. And you're not sure who you are or if you're enough, and so you start looking around you, and that's how we start to get insecure. We start to get jealous. We start to get discouraged. Or we compensate. When people feel like they're lacking in some area, like they're lacking some ability or something like that, some characteristic, they work really hard to make themselves look a whole lot better in another area. And so, like, people are willing to cross lines or compromise what they think is right and compromise what they think is even wrong in order to feel better about themselves. I've seen so many people get way off track simply because they couldn't answer the question of who they are. Or we cower. So we compare, we compensate, and we cower. When you're unsure of who you are, insecurity shows and we start to cower a little bit. And so many students step back from what God has created us to do simply because we're afraid we don't have what it takes. And it's so sad to see. And so as basic as this question sounds, it's a huge deal for us as we're navigating the most important places of our lives. And apparently, God knew Joshua's struggle. This common struggle that we're talking about is not news to God. It's something that dates way back to the Old Testament. And so what God does is God gives Joshua a pep talk, okay? And so when we read it, essentially, this is us getting a pep talk from God, okay? It's a locker room, in your face, high five, pep talk, and I want you to hear what God says because I think we all need to learn something huge from this. So Joshua chapter 1, starting with verse 6, says, "Be strong and courageous." This is God talking with an audible voice to a person. "Be strong and courageous, for you are the one who will lead these people to possess all the land I swore to their ancestors I would give them. Be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the instructions Moses gave you. Do not deviate from them, turning either to the right or to the left. Then you will be successful in everything you do. Study this book of instruction continually. Meditate on it day and night, so you will be sure to obey everything written in it. Only then will you prosper and succeed in all you do. This is my command. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." This is God talking to a human being. I don't know if you understand, but this is huge right here. Did you notice God repeats a phrase? Maybe you felt like this was getting kind of repetitive. It was. God repeats this phrase, "Be strong and courageous." He says it 3 times in here, and it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't like the people who were typing out the words after later translations came out of the Bible, and they made a mistake. They accidentally typed it too many times. There was a reason God kept repeating himself, okay? Because it was important enough for Joshua to get this. And so while Joshua was focused on who he wasn't, look at me, students. God spoke into who he could be, saying, "You are a strong leader. You are a courageous leader. You just need to be that so the people can follow you and know that you're doing what they need to be done, that you're leading them on the right track." And notice that God doesn't think he can be strong and courageous because of a certain set of skills that Joshua has. No, it's because God is with him. Look what he says. "Be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." It's as if God is saying to Joshua, "Josh, you're so focused on who you're not. Josh, you've missed one really important thing, and that's who I am, because I am God. I can do anything. I am strong, able, mighty, good, loving, and powerful. And most importantly, Josh, he's saying, I am with you. So I'm here to tell you who you are. You're not Josh the scared. You're not Josh the too young. You're not Josh the weak. No, you are Joshua the strong and courageous, because I am with you. So live like that and lead like that. And that's what I want us to take away tonight with this from Joshua's first job as the leader of Israel. Who Joshua was did not matter in light of who God is. Who you are and who you feel you are does not matter in light of who God created you to be. Okay? Even in middle school, even when it's super intimidating to walk in the halls of your school or to be out and about wherever it is that other middle schoolers are at, God is saying, be strong and courageous. Be a leader. Show people who I am. This time, this day and age, people just simply need to be shown the love of Christ. And if we are followers of Christ, it is up to us to show his love to them. Guys, our world around us is dead and dying. Our world is full of people. The halls at our schools, Trinity, it doesn't matter what school you go to. If you're homeschooled, maybe it isn't quite the same, but the people around us, the world around us, it's filled with people who are facing eternity apart from God. That should break our hearts. And if we as followers of Christ don't show them that love, don't tell them about Jesus, my question is, who is? Who is? That is our job. Yes, every single one of us has specific things that God is calling us to. Specific things that the person next to you isn't necessarily going to do. But there's something every single one of us is called to. And that's to share Christ's love with people. If you are a follower of Jesus, that is your job. We've learned about Moses, how God gave Moses that call to lead the people. And Moses is like, but God, I'm not a good enough speaker. And God is saying, I'm calling you to do this. I will give you the ability. So guys, don't focus on your limitations. And don't paint yourself out to be this person who just doesn't match up. But when a situation is there in front of you, and you feel this challenge to step up and make something awesome happen, know that what God is calling you to do, he's saying, I will be with you in it. Let's pray. God, we thank you for today. I thank you for each person in here tonight. Lord, I know that there are some here who may feel like, for whatever situation, that they're just not good enough, that they just don't match up. And God, I pray that we would begin to be seeing ourselves the way that you see us. And so, Lord, help us, God, as we break off into our small groups and we discuss this thought a little bit more, I pray that you would lead these conversations that we're about to have. God, that you would show us that who you are is a God who is able to be with us. And that God, who you are, is so much more important than who we are not. So God, fill in those blanks for us when we ask that question, when we describe ourselves as our name and then that blank next to us. Lord, help us to fill that in with the reality of who you've created us to be. That we would believe that we are strong and courageous when it comes to our classes at school. That we would believe that we're strong and courageous when it comes to just those opportunities that are at our doorstep, when it comes to our friends, when it comes to dealing with stuff at home. Lord, help us to believe that we are strong and courageous. Not because we woke up today with exactly the set of skills we need to tackle what you've called us to do, but because it's you, God, who's calling us to step up towards it. God, help us to know that you matter more than who we aren't. And that because you're with us, we can be strong and courageous. God, we thank you and we love you. Pray these things in your Son's holy name. Amen. All right, why don't you guys grab those tickets that you got on your way in here. And